Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. It's Tori. Today, I've got some notes. Alright, so the big question that I wanted to kind of dig into and explore in this video is, should we leave honest reviews on indie written books? Now, indie books can be anything that is published by a small press, self-published, etc. Anything that isn't traditionally large publishing house published. So this is something that I think is really important to talk about because there's a lot of discussion around how reviewers should review, a lot of discussion on whether or not authors should even be allowed in reviewer spaces, and etc., etc. There's so many facets to this conversation, and there's absolutely no way that I'm going to be able to cover them all in one video. So I'm just going to be picking a couple of basic points around the discussion of reviewing indie books and go from there. One of the things that I think I can offer to the discussion is that I am coming to this topic from the perspective of someone who is both a author themselves, an indie and self-published author themselves, and also a reviewer. I write reviews, I do booktube videos, I write on Goodreads, etc. So I have kind of both sides of the experience, and I really tried to do my best to think about myself in each one of those spheres as I went to make notes for this video. The first thing that I want to do is I want to define reviewer for this video, because obviously there's a lot of people that are just, keeping up with Goodreads and throwing star ratings on things for their own personal record, and that's totally fine. But what I define as a reviewer for this video is someone who is publishing their reviews on YouTube, blogs, Goodreads, or any platform with the intent of helping other readers find new books and giving feedback to authors. The things that I'm going to talk about in this video are, I'm going to go over objective versus subjective reviewing. I'm going to talk about why honesty is so important in reviewing indie books, and I'm also going to make a specific comment on one of my personal subjective pet peeves when it comes to reviewing. After that, I'm just going to give some basic thoughts both to reviewers watching this video and to authors. So let's start with objective versus subjective reviewing. Now, these are terms that get thrown around a lot, and I think it's really important for us to establish right away that there is no such thing as a purely objective review. They don't exist. So when people try to talk about the reviews need to be a certain level of objectivity, I think that that is a very gray area, because everybody is coming into each new book with their own set of experiences, perspective, likes and dislikes. There's going to be some kind of subjectivity there. You guys, this cat is driving me nuts right now. Just thought you all should know. She's disrupting my train of thought. Now, a big part of objective versus subjective, and this is where a lot of people get kind of at each other on either side of the issue, is trashing the author is not the same as leaving constructive criticism. In booktube especially, and I can speak to that because I am a booktuber, and I don't know how it is on blogs or anything else, but when we do more negative focused or rant reviews on booktube, people enjoy watching us get really heated and really angry and ripping and shredding, and that's just, it's a part of human nature, unfortunately. And it's entertaining to a lot of people. Now, I want to make it very clear here that I do not think that everyone who posts a negative review of a book or talks about a book they didn't like is here for the views. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that trashing a book and the author is part of why I think a lot of people get nervous about honest reviews, and they kind of lump those two things together. Now, along with that, I realize I'm moving through these kind of quickly. Along with that, there is a major fear for a lot of people when it comes to indie books specifically, that they're going to somehow ruin an author's career if they leave a review that isn't a 4 or a 5 star. One review should never be the end of an author's career. Now, the distinction you have to make, and this goes back to my comments earlier about, constructive criticism versus just trashing the book, it's how you review, not what you give as a rating, okay? How you review is the most important part of this conversation for you as a reviewer. Being able to thoughtfully articulate what you liked and what you didn't like about a book can be incredibly helpful to the author and incredibly helpful to the other readers who are interested in the book. Now, that doesn't immediately mean that people are going to read your review and think, oh, I shouldn't read this. I have seen so many reviews of books where a reader said, I really didn't like these things about this book. And I went, oh, but I like those things in my book, so I'm definitely going to give it a shot. I've bought books because of reviews on Goodreads and YouTube that people didn't like the book they were reading, but I saw something in the book that they didn't like that works for me as a reader, and so I went and picked it up. So just getting a negative review or getting a lower ranking or however you want to look at it doesn't actually mean that everything's over. So let's move on to why is honesty important in reviewing indie books. I've had conversations with other reviewers where it is talked about that these reviewers have a fear over how their reviews are going to be received, or if the author is going to be really angry or upset with them and even possibly take it public. And that's heartbreaking to me. Okay, first of all, we need to create a space in which good reviewers feel confident and comfortable being honest. There are a select few authors that avoid reading reviews, but the large majority of them, I would hazard a guess. If you're like me, I read every single review. I do. I look at every review. I get excited when I see a new review. So that's something in the indie community that's a little bit different and can be pretty nerve-wracking when you know that the author is most likely going to read and see your review. But that's okay, because there's a big difference between constructive criticism that helps us all grow and continue to erase the stigma that used to surround self-publishing and indie books, and toxic positivity. Okay, being positive for the sake of positive sake isn't actually super helpful. It's always awesome to get good reviews, and I love when I see people find new favorite books and have a gush fest in their review. Do that. We love that. But if you're just being positive because you're afraid of how it might be received if you aren't a 5-star read on a certain book, that's where I think taking a step back and reassessing, hey, it's okay if I want to explain, you know what, this is actually a 3-star or a 4-star for me, or whatever it is, because of these things. That's still constructive, that still lifts the indie community and continues to help it grow. Now I want to make the point here that a lot of reviewers choose specifically not to leave reviews on books that they don't like, which is fine. Every reviewer has to decide what is comfortable for them and how they want to coordinate their own reviews and what level they're comfortable going to. That's all fine. I know a lot of people that do incredible reviews only for the books that they like. But once again, what is present in those reviews typically is a level of honesty, a level of, I loved these things about it. These things maybe not so much, but I loved these things about it. And that's still helpful because you're getting both sides of the equation. For example, I would hope that people watching my channel can pretty quickly figure out the things that I really love in books, like, you know, the words motley crew are a magnet to me. And there are other things like most romance, love triangles, insta-love, etc. that I'm immediately going to shy away from. And most of my viewers know that now because I'm giving them here's what I like and here's what I don't like. And that helps them then make a decision when I dislike or like a book, whether or not that book is going to be a good fit for them. And that's really the beauty of all of us having different perspectives and having individual experiences with books, right? Nobody's ever going to have the same perspective on a book. Even if I love the same book you do, our experiences with it and why we love it might be completely different. Honesty is important because it gives the author a wider range of perspectives from a larger audience on their book, and it gives them some helpful feedback to take forward in their career. That's a good thing. It also helps readers find books that are genuinely a really good fit for them. And for me as a reviewer, I have found that it really helps me learn to articulate and be more thoughtful about the reviews that I'm posting. I am intentionally going through and figuring out, okay, I really didn't like this aspect of the book. Why is that? What specifically was I not liking about it? It's forcing me to be able to articulate and have better conversations about the books that I liked and didn't like. And it doesn't even have to be that polarizing. Sometimes it's a book that I absolutely loved, but I didn't like one particular aspect of it, or vice versa. There are books that I really haven't liked overall, but I really loved something the author did, and that allows me to pull that out for my review and say, hey, this was something I really liked. Now, one specific comment that I do want to make with this, and this is a subjective moment where Tori is coming out to say something that is a pet peeve, so take it with a grain of salt. You guys, I find typos in traditionally published works all the time. Straight up awfully worded sentences, typos, weird line breaks, the whole gamut. I find them in traditionally published works all the time. I don't comment on them on my reviews. I expect a book to have a certain level of there's gonna be something missed, okay? We're all human. Even if it goes through 20 people, something's going to be missed. And that's okay. It doesn't destroy my enjoyment of a book simply because there's a typo in it or several typos. Now, if it's something that is just rampant throughout the book, obviously that's a different thing. But one of the things that drives me absolutely bonkers is when reviewers go, found a typo, obviously self-published. Come on, guys. Chill. There are going to be typos, and especially if we don't have as large of a team working for us as we would if we were traditionally published. But honestly, I have read enough self-pub to know that really good self-pub books are no different than traditionally published books. And that's the truth. The typos can be there. The, bad sentences here and there can be there, but that's not necessarily exclusive to self-publishing. So I just wanted to throw that out there. If you find a couple typos in your self-published books, that's not something that's a standout feature. So in conclusion, I want to end by giving some thoughts to reviewers and some thoughts to authors. Let's start with the reviewers. Remember to keep your reviews tasteful, not trashy. Constructive criticism with the intent of helping the author understand your perspective on their book is important. That's important. The honesty there is important, and I can't stress that enough. But you can do it in a way that isn't tearing the author down. Whatever rating you end up giving to your reads, is really helpful for you to be able to articulate the pros and the cons, what you liked, what you didn't like, and how it affected you throughout the read. Those are really important things. And if you have a hard time figuring out how to talk about those, find some really easy benchmarks. Talk about characters, what you liked, disliked about the characters. Who was your favorite? Why? Who was your least favorite? Why? What did you think about the plot? Did the book move, really quickly, really slowly? How did you feel about that? Those kind of really easy benchmarks can be low-hanging fruit for you in a review and make it's honestly not that hard to find things to say in pros and cons of books. Pick some easy things. How much did you enjoy it? What parts did you enjoy? What parts were a little bit harder for you? Did it have a slow middle? Did the ending land? Those really basic things. It doesn't have to be a massive, articulate, eloquent review to make a difference. It can be something very simple. Also, it's important to point out here that not all reviewers use the same rating and reviewing systems, and that's also something to be aware of. Find the rating system and the reviewing system that works best for you. Star ratings are obviously the most common just because they're really easy. Amazon and Goodreads are easy. Click a star rating, but you don't have to leave a star rating. The review is honestly more helpful than the star rating half the time. So if you want to leave a review without a star rating, go for it. If you want to create some kind of rubric, I know a lot of reviewers that use a more expanded rubric to review and rate their books. That's cool. Do a little bit of research and figure out what kind of reviewing style works best for you, and then go with it. All right, now I'm going to give some thoughts to my authors on this topic. First of all, getting less than a 5-star review is not the end of the world. It can be really easy to let those not 5-star reviews or less positive reviews get us down. And I just want you to remember that that doesn't mean you're a bad writer. It just means that everyone reads books differently and has different experiences with them, and that's okay. No book is perfect. If and when you send out your books for reviews, mail it out, send it off in the email, dust your hands off, and move on. Give the reviewer the space to come to your book when it is the right time. If I send out a review copy of Phased, obviously I would love it if the person reads it next week. But realistically, if they read it a year from now and then I get this gushing, glowing review that they post on social media and it continues the momentum of my book and people reading it, that's good too. This is a big one. If somebody leaves you a lower rating, you don't need to feel like you have to respond. It's okay to let them have that experience and move on. Keep doing you, keep trucking, keep improving yourself as a writer. Look at their review and decide, is there anything in here that I feel like could be useful going forward? If not, that's okay too. Constructive criticism is not your enemy. It's really not, I promise. And I know this sounds super basic, but it's so hard for so many of us as writers to get past that initial hurdle of getting constructive feedback or less positive criticisms. And that's okay. Learn to discern as a writer what is useful for you, what you can take in, can learn from, and improve on for your next book. And what's just personal preferences that may show that the reader, it just wasn't for them, and that's also okay. For everyone, regardless of whether you're a reviewer or author, treat others the way you want to be treated. If you're a reviewer, try to leave articulate, thoughtful reviews about what you liked and didn't like about a book. It doesn't have to be crazy or long-winded. It can be something very simple. Just give reasons and honest feedback while being supportive to the author because they're doing their best. If you're an author, remember to receive feedback from the community of readers with grace, and that, less positive reviews or criticisms don't mean that you're a bad writer and are not going to end your career. So for me as a reviewer, what this comes down to is that I support a space where reviewers are comfortable to be honest and supportive, and where authors are treated respectfully regardless of rating. And that's kind of the bottom line of what I'm trying to say here. Honestly, there's so much to this conversation. I could do an entire series of videos on the topic, and I might expand on this at some point, but I just wanted to hit some of the very overview general comments, and I know there's more to it. If you want to go in the comments down below and add to the conversation, I'm more than happy to talk with you guys down there as well. I'm interested from both reviewer and author standpoints, how you guys feel about reviewing and all of that, and how to handle reviews for books that you're not as big of a fan of. Definitely let me know down in the comments. And authors, also let us know what is the kind of feedback and constructive criticism that's most helpful for you. Drop that all in the comments below, and I look forward to talking to you guys about it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like my content, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, like, and subscribe if you want to hang out on my corner of the internet permanently, because we'd love to have you. So, guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope you're having a fantastic week. I hope that you are reading the best reads of your life, and I will see you in the next video.